name is Dale Galipo, Law Offices of Dale K. Galipo.
My name's Eric Valenzuela. I'm an attorney here at the Law Offices of Dale K. Galipo.
My name is Renée Valentine Masongsong, and I've been with the Law Offices of Dale K. Galipo for about 8.5 years now. We focus almost exclusively on civil rights litigation. This was possibly the biggest case that this firm has ever had. It was a very high-profile case. Mrs. and Mr. French, the parents of Kenneth French, they were 3 individuals who were shopping at Costco, completely unarmed.
Salvador Sanchez, who's an off-duty police officer, is also there at the Costco. No one knows exactly what started this whole thing, which is kind of a mystery. We don't know if it was over the samples or what started it, but Kenneth strikes Salvador Sanchez, and Salvador Sanchez then kind of goes to the ground. He pulls out a weapon and starts firing. He fires approximately 10 rounds, striking Paola, Russell, and Kenneth. Kenneth was struck fatally.
There was nothing that predicated this as far as like a detention or arrest or a call for help.
It's almost unbelievable. And some parts of the story that were so touching to the jury, after the shooting, Mr. French was on the ground in excruciating pain. Someone came up to him and said, "Do you want me to pray over you?" He said, "Go pray over my son."
And these parents were just the whole time just worried about their son, and then they're taken to the hospital, placed in a coma to try to, alleviate some of these injuries and work on them and successfully perform the surgeries. Then day after day asking, the physicians and their other son, Kevin, and his wife, Emma, where is Kenneth? And they unfortunately had to deliver the news that unfortunately Kenneth was in the morgue. As you may know, there was a grand jury proceeding initially, and there were no charges brought against the shooting officer. And the family had such a hard time grappling with how could there not be any charges or any indictment. And to this day, the records from the grand jury are sealed, and so we can't imagine what biased evidence must have been presented to the grand jury for them to have no indictment on any charge. In this case, we actually had a claim for loss of consortium, which is a loss of or an interference with spousal relations, and their relationship changed, their ability to relate to one another. And it's particularly sad because this is a really nice couple who is kind of reaching their retirement age, and they were really looking forward to traveling together. So dealing with that heartbreak, and then along the way, finding out that charges were eventually brought against Salvador Sanchez almost 2 years later. They were waiting for so long for that to happen, but then at that time we had to deal with how that was going to impact the civil case. Could that result in a stay? One of the first things we did was send a subpoena out to the city of Corona, the Corona Police Department. In the process of doing that, we realized there was very little audio and video relating to the shooting. And one reason that was so important is because in this case, the shooting officer, he took the fifth. And so when we deposed him, he answered very few questions. And we received some materials from the Costco, including a surveillance video that, to our surprise, was taken from quite some distance. There was only one, and it really showed very little of the incident. So at that point, we realized how important it was to get DK Global involved and get an animation and kind of clear up that video so that we'd really have some good demonstrative evidence for the trial.
The news, I don't know anyone in Southern California or not the nation that didn't hear about the case.
The case grabbed the public attention, especially in a time when, the actions of police officers and shootings were under strict scrutiny.
So the jury is already captivated with Dr. Malu. For those who don't know who Dr. Malu is, they made a movie about him called Concussion, played by Will Smith. So he's like literally a genius. The guy is beyond brilliant.
And so it was very important to work with Dr. Omalu and DK Global at the same time to ensure the accuracy of the animation.
But the biggest hurdle in the case was the first 2 questions on the verdict form.
This complaint was completely different. This complaint had to be drafted in a way to show that the city is responsible for the actions of Salvador Sanchez.
I was in federal court. I needed a unanimous verdict. I needed a yes to questions 1 and 2, and I needed it unanimous.